From translation, Net New English Translation, this 206th day of the year, today we are reading passages Ecclesiastes 5-8, Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1-20. Guard your steps when you go to the house of God. To draw near to listen is better than to offer the sacrifice of fools, for they do not know that they are doing evil. Do not be rash with your mouth or hasty in your heart to bring up a matter before God, for God is in heaven and you are on earth. Therefore, let your words be few. Just as dreams come from much business, so the fool's voice comes from many words. When you make a vow to God, do not delay in fulfilling it, for he takes no pleasure in fools. Fulfill what you vow. It is better not to vow than to vow and not fulfill it. Do not let your mouth cause you to sin, and do not say before the messenger, "It was a mistake." Why should God be angry at your voice and destroy the work of your hands? For in many dreams and in many words there is emptiness, but you must fear God. If you see oppression of the poor and perversion of justice and righteousness in the province, do not be shocked at the phenomenon, for one official is watched by a higher official, and there are yet higher ones over them. But the profit of the land is for everyone. A king is served by the field. The one who loves money will never be satisfied with money. He who loves wealth will never be satisfied with his income. This also is futile. When good things increase, those who consume them increase. So what advantage does their owner have, except to look on? The sleep of a laborer is sweet, whether he eats little or much, but the wealth of a rich man leads him to stay awake. There is a grievous evil I have seen under the sun, wealth hoarded by its owner to his own detriment, or that wealth was lost in a bad venture, so that when he fathered a son there was nothing to leave him. As he came from his mother's womb, naked he will return, to go just as he came. He will take nothing from his labor that he can carry in his hand. This also is a grievous evil. Just as everyone comes, so everyone goes, and what profit does he have who toils for the wind? Moreover, all his days he eats in darkness, with much vexation and sickness and anger. Here is what I have seen to be good. It is appropriate to eat, drink, and experience good in all the labor one does under the sun during the few days of his life God has given him, because that is his reward. Moreover, when God gives someone wealth and possessions, and the ability to enjoy them, to accept his lot and rejoice in his toil, this is a gift of God. For he will not often reflect on the days of his life, because God satisfies him with joy in his heart. Ecclesiastes chapter 6, verses 1-12. Here is another misfortune I have seen under the sun, and it weighs heavily upon mankind. God gives a man wealth, possessions, and honor, so that he lacks nothing his heart desires, but God does not enable him to enjoy any of it. Instead, a stranger enjoys it. This is pointless and a grievous affliction. A man might father 100 children and live many years. No matter how long he lives, if he is not satisfied with life's good things, and does not even have a proper burial, I say that a stillborn child is better off than he. For it comes in futility and departs in darkness, and its name is covered in darkness. Furthermore, it has not seen the sun or known anything, yet it finds more rest than that man, even if he lives 1,000 years twice over, yet does not enjoy his prosperity. Do not all go to one place. All a man's labor is for his mouth, yet his appetite is never satisfied. So what advantage does a wise man have over a fool? And what advantage does a poor man have in knowing how to conduct himself before others? What the eyes see is better than what the soul desires. This also is pointless and a chasing after wind. Whatever exists has already been named, and what a man is has been known long ago. A man cannot contend with one who is stronger than he. The more words, the more futility, and how does that profit anyone? For who knows what is good for man in life, during the few days of his futile life, which he passes like a shadow? Who can tell man what will happen after him under the sun? Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verses 1-29. A good reputation is better than precious perfume. Likewise, the day of one's death is better than the day of one's birth. It is better to go to a house of mourning than to go to a house of feasting, for death is the destiny of every person, and the living should take this to heart. Sorrow is better than laughter, for a sad face is good for the heart. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of mirth. It is better for a man to hear the rebuke of the wise than to hear the song of fools. For like the crackling of thorns under pot, so is the laughter of the fool. This also is pointless. Extortion turns a wise person into a fool, and a bribe corrupts the mind. The end of a matter is better than its beginning. A patient spirit is better than a proud spirit. Do not be quick to anger in your spirit, for anger resides in the lap of fools. Do not say, "Why were the old days better than these days?" For it is not wise to ask about this. Wisdom, like an inheritance, is good, and it benefits those who see the light. For wisdom provides protection, just as money provides protection. But the advantage of knowledge is this: wisdom preserves the life of its owner, Consider the work of God, for who can make straight what he has bent? In the day of prosperity be joyful, but in the day of adversity consider this. God has made the one as well as the other, so that no one may discover what the future holds. In my futile life I have seen both of these. Sometimes a righteous person dies prematurely in spite of his righteousness, and sometimes a wicked person lives long in spite of his evil deeds. Do not be excessively righteous and do not be overly wise. Why should you ruin yourself? Do not be excessively wicked and do not be foolish. Why should you die before your time? It is best to take hold of one thing without letting go of the other, for the one who fears God will avoid both extremes. Wisdom gives a wise person more protection than 10 rulers in a city. For there is not one truly righteous person on the earth who continually does good and never sins. Also, do not pay attention to everything that people say, otherwise you might hear your servant cursing you. For you know in your own heart that you also have cursed others many times. I have examined all this by wisdom. I said, I will be determined to know all this, but it was beyond my grasp. Whatever wisdom may be, it is far off and very deep. Who can find it out? I turn my mind to know, to investigate, and to seek wisdom and an explanation, and to know that wickedness is stupidity and foolishness is madness. I find more bitter than death the woman who is a snare, whose heart is a trap, and whose hands are chains. The man who pleases God escapes her, but the sinner is captured by her. Look, this is what I have found, says the teacher, adding one thing to the other to find the sum, which I have sought but have not found. I found one upright man among 1,000, but I have not found one upright woman among all of them. This alone have I discovered. God made mankind upright, but they have sought out many schemes. Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verses 1 to 17. Who is like the wise person? And who knows the interpretation of a matter? A man's wisdom brightens his face, and the sternness of his face is changed. I say, keep the king's command, because of the oath taken before God. Do not be terrified. Leave his presence and do not delay when the matter is unpleasant, for he does whatever he pleases. For the king's word is authoritative, and who can say to him, what are you doing? Whoever obeys a command will not experience harm, and the wise mind knows the time and the judgment. For there is a proper time and a judgment for every matter, though the misery of man increases greatly. For no one knows what will happen, for who can tell him what will happen? No man has authority to restrain the wind with the wind, or authority over the day of death. No one can discharge soldiers in war, and wickedness does not deliver those who practice it. All this I have seen, and I applied my mind to every deed that has been done under the sun, during the time when one man exercises authority over another man to his detriment. Then I saw the wicked buried. They used to go in and out of the holy place, and they are praised in the city where they did those things. This also is pointless. When a sentence against a crime is not executed speedily, the human heart is filled with evil schemes to commit crime. Although a sinner does evil 100 times and lives a long time, I also know that it will be well for those who fear God, who revere him. But it will not go well for the wicked, and they will not lengthen their days like a shadow, because they do not fear God. There is a vanity that occurs on earth. Sometimes there are righteous people who get what the actions of the wicked deserve, and sometimes there are wicked people who get what the actions of the righteous deserve. I said this also is pointless. So I commended pleasure, for there is nothing better for man under the sun than to eat, drink, and enjoy himself, for this will accompany him in his toil during the days of his life that God gives him under the sun. When I applied my mind to know wisdom, and to observe the task that one performs on earth, his eyes do not see sleep, day or night. Then I observed all the work of God, that man is unable to discover the work that is done under the sun. Even though man works hard to explore it, he does not find it. Even if the wise person claims to know it, he is unable to discover it.